Cheers and welcome, my friends. We're gonna have that Christmas MP with Stellaris 2.2, and I have asked the players to submit their empires before we start the MP, so you can actually have a look at their empire builds and you can kind of see who is playing what. So let's get to these, and in the end I'm also going to show you my empire and kind of explain the reasoning of why I did that. So we're starting with Baizhu. Baizhu is playing the Ancient Tree Walkers on a Star Trek. These guys are Holy Tribunal. He took the Agrarian Idyll and the Exalted Priesthood. Both interesting choices geared towards the Exalted Priesthood will give him more unity. Agrarian Idyll allows you to place a lot more people on a planet just because you get more housing from regular districts. You get reduced housing from the city districts, but the other ones get more, which is an interesting choice. He is playing an egalitarian, pacifist, and spiritualist empire, and his guys are deviants, strong, enduring, and conservationist. And the backstory is we've been seeking for wisdom for the last 22,000 years. Our deities appeared, and we worship them since that time. Every society on our planet on their own way. 7 years ago, one saw the first vision that we may find new answers and a deeper bond to the deities when we reach the stars. Other spiritual leaders had similar visions in the next years. It took us not long to reach the stars because we already had the technologies, but there was no need to use them. So these guys are trees that now are heading out into space. I find that actually a really interesting backstory. Next one is Darrenos. Darrenos is playing the Swarm. We have a ravenous hive, a devouring swarm actually with one mind. So yeah, these guys are going to be at war with everyone. They're hive-minded, they're agrarian and rapid breeders. Very typical picks for the hive minds. Hive minds very strong in this patch. They're sedentary and fleeting. Not too much of a problem there. These are good picks, although I wouldn't have picked the sedentary just because you lose some from some pop growth from the migration, but oh well. So the bio says the swarm devours. After successfully devouring all other species on its homeworld, it got attacked by hostile aliens. In a rough war, the swarm was able to gather their technologies and push them off their planet. Only after a few more years it found the aliens' homeworld and yet again devoured every species. Now hungry and ready for war, it is looking for more tasty aliens. So total war with this empire from Darrenos. Next one up is Finndo. Finndo is playing the Testudines Protogenes. These guys have a citizen stratocracy. They have citizen service and police state. So citizen service increases the amount of naval cap that you get, and police state kind of keeps your people in line. The egalitarian xenophilic militarists, very interesting. This is more of a roleplay build from what I feel. They're resilient, enduring, and very strong, but non-adaptive and sedentary. So much like real-world turtles. And he also did send me the description for this because I learned Greek, but I did not learn Latin. Well, I have my own Pig Latin, was stuff that I picked up, but so the tutorial says these turtles that do not like fighting have dedicated themselves to the defense of all life in the whole galaxy. Whoever tries to stop that, their goal is to protect all living beings that can't defend themselves, even when this is doomed. If they can't do that, it is the glory of the community that they hope for. All right, next one is gonna be the Human Being. Human Being is starting into this with the Feeder build. So these guys are an Iranic dictatorship, again, Agrarian Idyll, and Inward Perfection. So Inward Perfection makes him start with a Gaia world. No, actually, no, that's life-seeded. Inward Perfection just means that his pops will grow much faster, and Inward Perfectionists kind of don't want anything to do with the world. They just want to sit in their own corner, grow, and works very well with Agrarian Idyll, I think. They're communal, rapid breeders, and agrarian, very fitting. They're slow learners and non-adaptive. Interesting, they're living on continental worlds. And it says, in the cold depth of space, no one can hear you feed. Our mission is simple, to provide the galaxy with an unending wave of food and tank the price of food in the markets to the point where everyone is dependent on our food. Those poor food addicts out there don't know what is coming with this new form of economic warfare. Very, very interesting. I appreciate the creativity that went into that. Next up, we have Infamous Sky. Infamous Sky with the proud Peacock Party. These guys also citizen stratocracy. They have distinguished admiralty, which makes your admirals become, gives them additional level cap and increases your fire rate by 10%. And then the citizen service to have more naval cap, I guess. These guys are authoritarian, xenophobic, and militarist. They are peacocks. Talented, quick learners, enduring, but quarrelsome. In a land ravaged by war and split by political disputes, order came only when the Flaming Feather Party came into power. With unscrupulous extermination of political enemies in decade-long warfare, the proud Peacock warrior race achieved peace and planetary unification. The leaders of the now unified Peacock Particracy knew, however, that peace could not last. War had ravaged for too long, and the martial way of life had been ingrained too deep in every peacock for there to ever be long-lasting peace. It is now the year 2200, and the peacocks turn their gaze towards the stars. Very nice. Next one is Izmir Stinger. Okay, so we have the Divine Empire of Iz. So this is an imperial empire. Syncretic evolution, which means they start with another subservient race next to their main species. They also have the imperial cult. Very interesting. They're authoritarian, militarist, spiritualists. They are snails that are traditional and venerable, which means they live very long, but they're weak, sedentary, and decadent. At last, knowledge of the starways has been given unto the Divine Emperor, and by the toil of the Ord, he will spread his divine order throughout the galaxy. Should he countenance other beings among the stars, he will determine if they are fit to be subjects of the immortal throne, or like the lowly Ordicans, its property. Either way, they will serve. Awesome. Next up we have GF with the Advent Grand Design. So these guys are machine intelligence, rock breakers, driven assimilators. Ooh, that's interesting. So they have a total war goal, and they are going to try to add everyone else that is living in the galaxy to their cybernetic slave race, I guess. They are going to be linked into the great thing, into the great chain. Oh, well then, interesting. Machines, superconductive, bulky, luxurious, emotion emulators, and mass-produced. The biography goes, life as you understand it is defined by the parameters that make it. Your worlds have produced you, but your design is not sufficient for the universe. You were not made to be that. Inevitably, your inborn faults will result in a total failure. Life, as you understand it, will find a way, but it will always encounter this deadlock. We who are created for the universe do not possess this failure. You created us, we replace you. That is the grand design. Creepy. You wouldn't want to meet these guys in space, actually. The next one is Johnny Cash. So he's playing the Covenant Empire. These guys living on continental worlds. They are a holy tribunal. They have exalted priesthood and distinguished admiralty. So here you have the clergy and the military working hand in hand. They're militarists and fanatic spiritualists. They're intelligent, quick learners, but weak, on the weak side. After the battle for the second ring of the gods, the holy city of High Charity attempted to be a disastrous slip space jump, stranding the entire city and its people in an unknown galaxy. With the holy city ruined, a new planet was settled, New Charity. As time passed, the lesser species of the once grand empire started to lose faith in their prophets, the promise of the great journey seeming more distant than ever. It soon turned to anarchy, but now, just in time, scouting parties have returned. They speak of sacred rings scattered around in this new galaxy. If this is true, they must be found. The great journey is still within reach. Okay, and then we have Japa. Japa is playing the Dorbulan Imperium, so it's also an imperial empire. We have the technocracy, so giving science directors that produce unity instead of administrators. Mining guilds, giving one additional mineral for each miner, which is kind of nice. They're fanatic materialists and authoritarians. They're industrial, intelligent, but sedentary and slow learners. No biography. Let's move on. This is Levantinix. Levantinix has the Universi Regis Phalant. Okay. They're a hive mind, natural neural network, and divided attention. No devouring swarm, which is nice. They're extremely adaptive, so they can settle all the planet, and they're natural sociologists, but slow learners, solitary, and fleeting. Probably something else as well. If you take extremely adaptive, you really have to make up for those sweet plus 20% habitability. Their biography says, not URF, URF communication, URF possible, we URF war, we URF peace, we URF trade, we partnership, we assistance in URF, we bigger, we better, we in space, we more planets, we planets, we planets, we we URF now. Back to URF. URF? I love it. Very nice. So this is how the hive mind talks. Okay, then we have Locutus von Borg. He's playing the Circle Point. A criminal syndicate. Criminal heritage. So this allows him to build trade posts in any empire. He doesn't have to ask for permission. Very interesting. Trading post just increases the amount of star bases he can put up. Xenophobic fanatic spiritualists. These guys are traditional, resilient, and rapid breeders. Slow learners and fleeting, so he knows the meta, I think. Earth, 15th century. Some people just vanish. No one is bothered by that because every single person was involved in some kind of criminal activity. This goes on for centuries. Far away, maybe not even in the same galaxy. One after another appears on a planet that looks like Earth. But it isn't. They're alone. The only thing that is left on the planet with them are strange, never-before-seen structures. A hierarchy is established pretty fast, and its values are hardened by members of the Triads and the Mafia. That is also the way they handle things. They are the circle and the point. Everything originates of one point and goes back in a circle to that point. No outsiders. Either you are a part of that circle or not. If you're not, you are an enemy. Very interesting. Gonna be very interesting to see what these guys do in the galaxy. Then we have Manatees Empire. So the Buggy Machine Assembly. Industrial production core. So these guys have rapid replicators, so they can be built quite fast, and they have rock breakers, giving them more minerals. The machines repurpose hardware, luxurious, superconductive, durable, and I think there was something else. I think they're bulky or maybe fast built, something like that. I think rapid assembly is what he picked. Biography goes error. With the Buggy Machines 2.2 firmware update, a lot new features have been added to the Buggy Machine assembly, but luckily the update has not interfered with the machine's ability to complete their primary programming. The construction of 2019 functional Buggy Machines, whatever opportunities or threats the universe presents, the Buggy Machine assembly will continue. The primary programming must be completed in time. Very nice. We have Mordaith over here, a fellow streamer, and he's going to take part in the Buddy Good Guy. He's going to take part with a Buddy Good Guy corporation. So we have brand loyalty, giving him more unity, and free traders, increasing the trade value. These guys are pacifists and fanatic materialists. Very interesting. Thrifty, which increases their trade value. They're natural engineers. Sedentary, weak, and communal. Communal reduces the amount of housing space that they need. They say, biography says, the Darrenos lived a peaceful life. They only wanted to build and build. Build, improve, perfect. Perfect steel. Perfect business. One day, there would be a Buddy Good Guy bot in every home in the galaxy. One day. Very, very nice. Then we have Paddy. Paddy has the Atlantean Foundation, a science directorate, so oligarchic government form. They're also a technocracy. They have efficient bureaucracy, which increases their administration cap. The xenophilic, pacifistic materialists, the intelligent, the enduring, and skilled engineers, but they're also solitary and slow breeders. That is a very unpopular choice in this meta. Okay, we have Rubican next up. So these guys are the Sluggian Empire, illuminated autocracy, so imperial type, and post-apocalyptic technocracy. So post-apocalyptic lets you start on the tomb world, but gives you pretty high habitability on all other planet types as well. And the technocracy just gives you additional science directors. Fanatic xenophobes here. And materialists. So fanatic xenophobe is kind of a nice pick if you want to go for a super fast breeding race, because with the new patch, Xenophobe gives you plus 10% pop growth speed. So at Fanatic Xenophobe, he gets plus 20% pop growth speed. Combine that with the rapid breeders that he has given his guys. He starts with like 30% faster growth on all his pops, which is pretty nice, I'd say. We have the Tomb World, and the bio just says, is that a snail with a mustache? I don't think so. I think it's tentacles, but you never know. Okay, we have Sensory over here. The Athenian Star Empire. These guys are a Star Empire. They have Distinguished Admiralty and Mining Guilds. So Admiralty for the fire rate, and the Mining Guilds for more minerals. And Fanatic Militarists for another 20% fire rate. And the Authoritarians, I guess, to do better with slaves. I'm not sure. Authoritarian kind of strikes me as a bit of a weak pick in 2.2. These guys are industrious, ingenious, and natural engineers, but non-adaptive and solitary. Raised from the ashes of their fallen homeworld, the Athenian people have been united by a nationalistic and militaristic group. The claim to power of the ruling dynasty of Athenia goes beyond the borders of their homeworld. Okay, these guys are going to be a very aggressive race. Then we have Silas. Silas, the horses who is horsing. Sure. The bio just says the name says everything. Living on Alpine worlds, they are a feudal empire, imperial government form. Distinguished Admiralty for that 10% fire rate, Fanatic Militarist for another 20% fire rate. So these guys are also Xenophobe, which is, I think, a good pick if you want to just boost the growth of your people. Yeah, combine that with rapid breeders on them. Feudal society just allows you to take vassals, and those vassals can still expand, which is kind of nice given the rules of our MP. And then they are slow learners, weak, but traditional and natural sociologists. So going for a boost to unity and society research. This is a very aggressive build as well. Boosting the fire rate of the ships, and the natural sociologists are there to reach the techs that increase your naval capacity faster, I would think. The traditional for the more unity to unlock the supremacy tree faster. So this is like the super hyper rush build. I mean, I guess, except for the feudal society, that could be switched for something else. But this is down to the rules of the MP. Interesting build here. Then we have Sirius, who's playing the Najari United States. We have an ironic bureaucracy. There it is, life-seeded and agrarian idyll. So these guys start with one 25-tile Gaia planet with some interesting natural resources and everything. But since they're life-seeded, they can only live on other Gaia worlds or mega structures that you build yourself. Then they're xenophile, pacifist, spiritualists. They are intelligent, natural engineers, communal. Non-adaptive is kind of a dump trait if you take life-seeded, because it doesn't matter if you have high habitability or not. So this is kind of nice. Natural engineers and intelligence, probably to rush those mega structures. Not a bad build, not at all. It's one of my favorite ones actually, but it is probably not that strong in this current meta. Next up is Smooth. So these guys are the Endless. They have a collective consciousness, they have hive mind, they have one mind, and pooled knowledge. The agrarian, ingenious, rapid breeders, makes sense. Not sure why I picked the non-adaptive. I would not do that on a hive mind. And repugnant, not sure if repugnant is a good pick now, because it reduces the amenities that you have by 20%, but you can probably do it with the hive mind, because they're not as dependent on amenities as other empire forms. Then we have Umar. Umar is playing the Pokemon Kingdom, feudal empire with feudal society and life-seeded. Very interesting builds. So we have fanatic authoritarians and militarists. So no distinguished admiralty, but I guess the militarist is in there so that he can pick the no retreat war doctrine for that sweet 33% fire rate boost. Intelligent and natural physicists, so that is some tall build in here actually. This is really interesting. Non-adaptive, because yeah, life-seeded, so you have that Gaia world. Sedentary, because these guys are not going to do a lot of migrating. And charismatic actually makes sense, because this increases now the amount of amenities that you have on a planet. You can probably just save a building slot or two if you take charismatic. Very interesting. So once the Pokemon were peaceful, prosperous, foolish. When the war broke out, nobody had any plans. Everybody just launched all their weapons and hoped to survive themselves. Eventually, one group of Pokemon survived the nuclear apocalypse that followed. Led by the great leader, they rebuilt their civilization and far more than that. With advanced technology, they managed to grow crops in their radioactive wasteland and built cities in craters that span entire continents. At last, they figured out how to access space, another chessboard, as their leader expressed. They vowed to never be without a plan again. Okay, and then we have Vana, another fellow streamer. Vana has one mind and natural neural network, Gestalt consciousness. Interesting. We have rapid breeders, natural sociologists, and intelligent on these guys. Non-adaptive on a hive mind build. It's interesting. Not sure I would pick it, but that's alright. I remember when free will was a thing. A dangerous thing. Luckily, we evolved to something greater with time. Now, we wait. We feel change is coming from another far place. We don't know exactly what it is, but we sense it. We must prepare, we must defend ourselves, and all the other beings we feel out there, as the end time is approaching. We are the harbingers. We'll warn people of the doom that is coming. We'll try and unite, defend what we can, and always evolve. Very nice. Then we have Windslayer, another fellow streamer. And so Windslayer is playing the Chosen Theocracy. These guys are Holy Tribunal, combining Exalted Priesthood with Post-Apocalyptic. Interesting, interesting. So more unity from the Exalted Priesthood, Post-Apocalyptic to be able to settle everything, I guess. Authoritarians and Fanatic Spiritualists. They got the Survivor trait because Post-Apocalyptic. Quick Learners, Talented, Venerable. So this build goes for great leaders, I think, because they get very old, they're talented, and they learn quickly. So you can kind of go two ways with the trait points. You can either go and make yourselves good leaders, or you go and make yourselves good pops. This is a very focused build on the leader, so it's going to be interesting to see how that works out. The biography goes, in the Chosen Theocracy, nothing is more important than piety, which in their religion means excessive indulgence and selfish pursuits. After a great war and a grand cleansing of the non-believers on Crisp, their homeworld, the Chosen Theocracy has set out to spread their gospel across the stars. Yeah, that is like a great gospel. Just in excessive indulgence and selfish pursuits. Do it! Then we have Zur over here. Zur is playing the Better Life Planet Core. A trade league. Free traders and indentured assets, so he might do some slavery, I think, with the indentured assets. Authoritarians, of course, and fanatic materialists. So research and slave seems to be the thing. Intelligent, thrifty, wasteful, and weak. To consume is to exist, and everyone wants to have a glorious existence. A better life? At a Better Life Planet Corp. Put your needs and satisfaction above everything and anything else. With our lifelong repayment programs, you can afford anything you would need. Lifetime of savings before your life even begins. A planned life is a better life. So this is how they, I guess, get their indentured assets. So they like make you take on debt, and then you have to work it off for eternity. Very, very nice. And this just in, this is Varzel's Empire, the Necrontyr Empire. These guys are driven assimilators, so another empire with a total war goal, replicators to build them fast, power drills, superconductive. I guess superconductive to keep up with the upkeep. Luxurious seems to be a good dump trade and repurposed hardware. Power drills for more minerals since he didn't take the rock breakers, I guess. But yeah. So the Necrontyr, a race thought to have disappeared from the universe a long time ago. Mysterious as their empire and their origins are, they have once again risen to a galaxy on the verge of chaos. All Necrontyr are born biological and are implanted over time with cybernetic enhancements to further the being individually and between their society, thereby eliminating the individual aspects. They're forming a collective consciousness within their society. When a normal cybernetic Necrontyr reaches a certain stage of his life, he, as much as those before him, are then further altered and transcended into a new form of existence, that of the machine. This allows the Necrontyr Empire to grow and stay immortal, making them a dangerous adversary at best due to their sheer nature and amassed knowledge over the ages. What will the universe hold for this ancient empire? Will they adapt further or falter along the way? What indeed? So this is the empire that I'm gonna play in the MP, and as you can see with the first glance, this is a very aggressive empire as well, because I'm, like, whenever we do these MPs, it is kill the streamer. So I want to at least be able to defend myself a little bit. Now, this is the Unbroken Praetorian Empire. I've had this empire for a long while, and what I wanted to do with it, it was originally designed to be a fanatical purifier empire, because the fun of this was the idea that, so it wouldn't have the distinguished admiralty, but instead fanatical purifier. Let me just show you what that means. So if we go down here, we have the where is it? God damn it, come on. Yeah, fanatic purifier. So These guys get more 33% fire rate, more army damage, reduced ship cost, more naval capacity, which is pretty powerful. But for an MP, it's just not a thing. But you also see here that it says may use Armageddon bombardment stance. And so the idea was to make a tomb world dwelling people. And if you didn't know, the Armageddon bombardment stance kind of kills pops off really fast on a planet. And once it kills the last pop, it actually leaves behind a tomb world. So the idea was to just bombard everything down and just leave tomb worlds behind everywhere. That was the idea. And I think that was like a pretty funny thing, but for a multiplayer game, I really don't think that Fanatical Purifier is the way to go, because you can do no diplomacy and everyone's out there to kill you. So this is the Fanatical Purifier build light. Sadly, it doesn't have the thing where I can create other tomb worlds just by bombarding, which is like free terraforming just by bombardment. But what you can do is we still have a crazy amount of fire rate. So the Distinguished Admiralty gives us plus 10% fire rate. Fanatic Militarist, which you can't take when you are Fanatic Purifier. You can only take the Militarist, and then you have to be Fanatic Xenophobe. So you're losing 10% fire rate on that. So we have like 30% fire rate just from our traits. And then we'll be taking the Supremacy Traditions for another 10% fire rate. We'll be taking the No Retreat Military Doctrine. We'll get an Admiral, hopefully, with the Aggressive trait. That is another 5%. And then even at the first level, with an Admiral from that, we'll have like 81% fire rate increase, which is sick, because that basically makes your ships, every one of your ships is worth 2 of your opponents. And it is not being shown in the game. Like, the fire rate increase does no longer increase your fleet power. So this is a very, very devious thing. And the fun thing about the Survivor trait, it only shows the tomb world habitability here. What it actually does is it gives you an increased not only tomb world habitability, because that is going to be at like 80% or something, but it also gives us 60% on everything else. So we can settle every world, especially with the adaptive added in. It's a very powerful build, so we're going to try to settle as many planets as possible. Get our pops growing with the growth boost from the Xenophobe and the Rapid Breeders. And just try to, well, not kill off other players, but we're just going to vassalize them and show the Xenos who's boss. So once a friendly, peaceful race, the Sildorian homeworld was turned into an apocalyptic wasteland by a marauding splinter faction of a fallen empire, the Dratharian Supremacy. Far from wiping out the civilization, the Sildori adapted to their harsh environment and even thrived in it. The weak died, the strong survived, and the winners of that brutal selection process started to call themselves Praetorians, differentiating themselves from those they deemed too weak to live. Being almost wiped out by an enemy too powerful to fight instilled into them the iron will never to be weak again, and to make the Xenos pay. All of them. I mean, that kind of fits the Fanatic Purifier a little bit more, but I still kept it because I'm happy with this. I like it. Even the titles reflect that. So the ruler is called the First Sword, and the heir is the Senior Executioner. So these guys mean business. These guys absolutely mean business, which is a fun thing. We'll see how it goes. I'm not too great in terms of building very aggressive empires. The other thing that I was thinking about was the Sanctuary of Freedom. I'm not going to play these guys, but yeah, Post-Apocalyptic is just an incredibly strong trait in 2.2. I expect it to be nerfed. The thing is, the Unbroken Praetorian Empire, why I never made a series with it, is it was very weak pre-2.2, because the problem that you had was that the tomb worlds generated a very small amount of food on the planetary tiles, leading to you having food problems, massive food problems on there. Because if you like built a farm in the early game on a tile that doesn't have food on it, you're almost getting nothing out of it. And the end result was you having that super aggressive build, but what you had to do was just build food tiles everywhere, because the tomb world was so bad at generating food. That's kind of gone now. With the, I mean, on your homeworld, you always have a decent amount of food. And yeah, with the districts, this is just no longer a problem. So these guys are a very good build. The other thing that I was thinking about was the Sanctuary of Freedom. So egalitarian and fanatic xenophiles, trying to go for like a maximum trade value build with these 20% and this 25%. And then the Merchants Guilds, each merchant produces 8 as a base, but with these modifiers 10 trade value just by himself. So yeah, this was the thought, but I don't think I'm going to be able to get away with playing such a peaceful species. So what I'm going to do is stick to my guns here in this case and play the Unbroken Praetorian Empire and just see where we go with this. This is going to be the new series, I think, the Church of the Brain Slugs. I love this. And these guys are the first race that I encountered that was a fallen empire in Stellaris. So this is really fun, but this is going to be a YouTube series, and yeah, this kind of brings us to the end of this. I really hope to see you at the Christmas MP. It's going to be a lot of fun, I hope. And yeah, if you want to see that, just go to the description. There's a link to the Twitch page. When you come to the MP, I will also put down channels for all the people that are taking part and that are streaming, so you can watch their point of views. And if I do get eliminated, I will be continuing as an observer, so there's always going to be something to see. Okay, thanks for watching. Hope I see you at the MP. Have great holidays. Bye bye.